Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode of the e-commerce lab by Ecomcy, the place of everything related to Amazon FBA, private label, and e-commerce. My name is Vincenzo Toscano, founder and CEO of Ecomcy, and today we bring another special guest. His name is Georgi, and he's the head of business development at Noverstock, which is an amazing platform when it comes to multi-channel e-commerce, because it allows you to manage all these different channels in a single place and much more, which is actually what we're going to be speaking today. Because we know that when it comes to selling online, it's not only about Amazon, which we know sometimes people get stuck into the Amazon mentality. It's much more than that. And I think Novestock is perfect for that because it allows you to, build those bridges to those other platforms. And Georgie today is going to be talking about that. And Georgie, for me, it's definitely a pleasure to have you here, Bar. How you doing, my friend? Thank you for being to the show.
Thank you as well for having me on the show, Vincenzo.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for coming. I think actually just 3 days ago we were together in Istanbul, which for those that don't know, there was this event called World E-commerce Forum, which was an amazing event in Istanbul. And actually, Georgie with their team from Noverstock were present with a stand. And yeah, it was great, Georgie, right? You had a good experience there?
Yeah, absolutely. So the magnitude of this event was huge. I mean, there were so many people, many service providers, and many attendees as well for the conference. And I think everyone got value, no matter what he was there to do or to achieve. And the sheer size of this event says that it's difficult to organize, but the organizers did an amazing job. We also had, things organized and events and stuff outside of the main event halls. So I think that overall it was a great gathering, great event.
Yeah.
If there was a fourth day, I'm sure that it would have been strong as well. So I'm
Yes.
looking forward to next year.
Yeah, for sure. I was actually surprised now that you mentioned this about the 4 day because the event was 3 days long and usually by third day is empty. But even the third day was packed. I mean, people was coming back. There was so much hunger to learn about e-commerce, and I'm pretty sure you guys at Northstar were happy with the leads and the results you got because I saw this hunger from the Turkish e-commerce seller, and not just people from Turkey, from the region,
Mhm.
that to sell online. So it was very interesting. Now let's jump into business here. I think before we jump into the topic, which I find it very interesting, which is basically how to sell across multiple e-commerce platform, which is where I think Novastock is really the key here. I want to start. Yeah, if you can give us a little bit of intro about yourself, how you joined the company, and the reason why I love to have these little insights about our guests is because I feel everybody has an interesting story when it comes to e-commerce and business in general. And then from there we jump into the topic. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. So, my whole, let's say, story revolves around sales, and I've been in the
Awesome.
e-commerce industry for more than 10 years now.
Wow.
So,
Awesome.
I've done a lot. I'm very familiar with everything that happened in e-commerce in the past 10 years,
Mm-hmm.
and there have been fluctuations. So, I've always dealt with sales, as I already mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been, around these platforms and around the sellers all my life. You mentioned Amazon, but there are numerous other platforms and marketplaces that people, uh, you know, uh, go to sell on. They
Yeah.
find customers there. They find niches there,
Yeah.
and it's really a rich menu.
Yes, 100%. I agree with you. I think right now is a perfect moment when it comes to opening to other marketplaces because, as I said from the very beginning, a lot of sellers they had the mentality of only focusing on Amazon, and now with everything that's going on in the space with the competition, saturation, all of that, you see now people starting to explore other platforms such as eBay, Etsy, Walmart, etc. And actually, I wanted to ask you your take on this. How you're seeing right now the space? I'm pretty sure you have seen a lot of people starting to diversify. I'm pretty sure you have seen
Mhm.
businesses right now only focusing on one channel. Now they try to focus on multiple channels at once. And what is your understanding and maybe some tips around this? Yeah.
Yeah, of course, I can talk about that. Since you like the story, I'll start with the story. So,
Yeah.
I've been a seller myself for
Mm-hmm.
a long time. I've used Amazon. but I've also used eBay, and I've been successful on both platforms. The Noverstock co-founders have a long time successful selling business for more than
Yeah.
15 years, which they continue today. So we're very, very familiar with the trends. And as you mentioned, people are starting to diversify and they're
Hmm.
looking for different sales channels. And this happens because of many reasons. The biggest reason I can think of is the convenience, because
Hmm.
nowadays with these platforms you can reach foreign markets, you can reach other countries, you
Yeah.
can work with shipping carriers that, and you can even work with multiple ones, so you can compare pricing and choose
Hmm.
different services. You can work with local suppliers. You can um, work with warehouses all over the world to store your goods. So really, the possibilities are endless. And we're not talking here only about convenience for the sellers, it's convenience for the buyers as well,
That's right.
because they can now find a lot of products, they can compare prices, they can go on different channels. So, really, that's what's driving this industry. And then what happened during the pandemic years, we actually saw an acceleration of all that I just said. Even more
Hmm.
people were starting to purchase online. More and more people were starting to sell for the first time, and the existing sellers, they decided to go on other platforms looking to expand their business, and that's wonderful. The e-commerce industry is growing as a whole, and the projections are that it's still going to continue to do it in the next few years. So if I can give some tips to the people watching,
Yeah.
then it would be, don't limit yourself to one
Hmm.
platform. You can, of course, go multi-channel. You can work with many, many different companies, and you don't even need to be in that country to do it. The
That's right.
possibilities are endless. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree. I think the mentality of having multi channels is definitely the way to go in 2023 and moving forward, because I feel like with the competition that we see in some of the leading companies, marketplaces, in this case Amazon, is driving the profitability of some of the sellers very low. And if you don't have these extra channels, which are going to allow you over time to build other assets in terms of other channels, it's going to be difficult for you to have the cash flow to keep it growing the business. And I think now more than ever, with tools such as Noverstock, is much more easier, because it's just a matter of plugging your business within a tool such as this, and then from there you can start basically managing all your business in a single place,
Mhm.
which is, I think, the number one reason why people in the first place didn't want to go multi-channel, because I know a few years back tools such as didn't exist, and for people to have the so many logins, so many ways to basically manage all of these in different basically accounts, it was a mess. And I think maybe you agree with me. That's one of the
Yes.
benefits of using a multi-channel e-commerce platform, right?
Yes, absolutely. So, um, I would like to differentiate two things here. So, first one is how the multi-channel platforms
Mm-hmm.
work, and
Yeah,
as a general overview, I can go over how they work.
of
So,
course.
at the core are the integrations. So, we're integrated with the leading and most popular marketplaces and
Yes.
platforms, and every company, like such as ours, you over time you add more and more of these marketplaces, and the integrations with the shipping carriers is what's important as well. So after that, you have integrations with the warehouses, you
Mm-hmm.
have integrations with the suppliers. So really, when you think about it, all the stakeholders that are relevant to a seller's business are in one place in Noverstock. So
Yeah.
I'm going to repeat what you said, but yes, you log in to only one place, and from a single centralized location, you manage your whole business. You know everything what's happening with your inventory, because you have an overview of it no matter where it is in the world. You send purchase orders to your suppliers for more inventory whenever you sell.
Yeah.
You process the orders from the same location, from the single place. So you we like to say that you eliminate the possibility for a human error, because
Mm-hmm.
everything is in one place, and
Yeah.
you have automation rules that help you not make a mistake. Actually,
Yes.
they shorten the order processing time, and they do other great things for you as well. So all in all, having an ERP system for e-commerce, let's call it
Yeah.
that way, is extremely, extremely useful for the sellers. And the second aspect is something that you said. You mentioned that a seller can just plug in. We actually go a step above that. So the normal functioning, as I would call it, for ERP systems is that sellers are onboarded on the system. We
That's
take a
right.
little bit of different approach.
Mm-hmm.
We take into account the current state of business of the particular client and we
Mm-hmm.
map that in the system. So if he already has those sales channels and he has a way of working or a specific relationship with his suppliers or service providers of any kind, like the shipping carriers, etc., then we map that. So we are flexible in that sense, and we don't make people change how they do business. We just help them do their business better, and through the power of automation, we help them do it in a more efficient way.
Yeah, for sure. I think what I love about after seeing all the tools that you guys provide is automation side of things, because the reality is that, as you are mentioning, as you start scaling and adding more channels to your business, I mean, it reaches a point that the human error is imminent, and if these human errors, especially if you have expensive products, and then the volume of sales is very big, this can be, we're talking thousands and thousands of dollars, and with tools such as this, you are able to mitigate that. But on top of the automation, the one that I feel is the most important when you have so many channels is the visibility of your profitability at the channel level, and understand what is happening on each of these channels. Because every single time I have an audit with a client, and we go into their numbers, you will be surprised, and maybe you agree with this. Most people don't know the numbers. They think they're making money,
Yeah,
but when you see their numbers, they're actually in red. And they assume they're making money
yeah,
because, yes, they see money coming into the account, but actually their expenses and everything is higher. And I
yeah.
think if you don't have a tool such as this, y- there is no way you can have a proper strategy to make profit, on these channels. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And here I can mention two things. So the first one is profitability as a whole. So
Yeah.
our tool can show you the profitability of each channel. So
Mm-hmm.
if you, for example, have several Amazon stores, several
Mm-hmm.
eBay stores, so we can show you profitability of each channel. This is done for whether you want to do some, let's say, uh, channel optimization or
That's
sales
right.
channel optimization.
Mm-hmm.
Is um, and then we can show you the profitability of your whole business.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what happens. This is the interesting part. This is what actually happened to one of our companies.
Mm-hmm.
We've been selling for 6 months,
Yeah.
and yeah, we see we're making some profit, but at the end of the day, we just were barely breaking even,
Mm-hmm.
or we were close to the break-even point, and something had to change. So, as you said, we weren't realizing after we do our due diligence and we see the reports, there's actually something wrong. So what we did is we devised our own tool, which we call a profit calculator, which
Yeah.
can help you avoid this costly mistake.
Yeah.
Um, for us, the 6 months was the honeymoon period, which was
Yeah.
over, and dreams are shattered, going into reality. So what we did is, again, using the power of automation and the integrations. So we integrated our calculator with the marketplaces and online platforms, and we integrated it with the shipping carriers and as well with all the stakeholders that seller businesses use. So what it actually does is automatically pulls all the fees, commissions, charges, any
Awesome.
costs really related to a sale, the
Mm-hmm.
exchange rate, etc. You name
Yeah.
it. It just takes everything into account, the VAT for each country, and many,
Mm.
many more. So it shows you what are your total costs, and
Mm-hmm.
it will differ for every sales channel depending on the
Yeah.
marketplace, depending on the country, of course. And then what you need to do is you need to put a margin on top, but as you already know all your costs, your margin stays protected. So that's how you make a profit. That's how we basically ensure that each and every one of your orders is in the green. It could be a little bit, it could be a lot,
Yeah.
but you're protected. You're not losing money, and I
Yeah.
think that that's really really important for both
Yeah.
sellers that are just starting out, so that they can gain advantage, and for even experienced sellers so that they can grow their business.
Yes, for sure. I think now that we're talking about so many different marketplaces and even countries, wh- I think the number one issue, and you mentioned that during the fees, is the exchange rate. I mean, there are so many exchange rates when you start working with so many marketplaces, and each different marketplace has different percentage on the sale, or if you use FBA or you do WFS with Walmart, etc. That if you just have a fixed profit margin at the global level and you assume that's going to be the same across all marketplaces, for sure you're going to be in the red. And that example you gave me is clear example of that. I mean, we need to make sure we have a strategy at the marketplace level, right, and the brand level if you're going global. And
Yeah,
I think that's what a tool like this allows you to do.
exactly.
Now, talking about selling into multiple marketplaces, I think we also need to be realistic that um, it's not the best strategy when you are getting started to launching all the marketplaces at once or all the concepts. I think you need to go slow, specifically if your budget is limited. I wanted to ask you, based on your experience after working with so many e-commerce sellers, what are some tips about how to do that expansion? Because I mean, a lot of people want to do the multi-channel, basically set up for the e-commerce business, but they don't know maybe to which marketplace to expand first or to which country. What is usually your advice on here? How you move forward into making your brand a multi-channel brand? Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. So the advice that we give to people that are just starting out is, first, to do their research. You need to do your research about, and that depends on your product portfolio, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So we advise them to choose a platform. To be honest with you, in most of the cases, they decide to start on Amazon,
Okay.
given the fact that the number of buyers on Amazon is extremely high. So
That's
they
right.
base
Mm-hmm.
their chances over there.
Mm-hmm.
And what we see is they start growing, and then they go to the next popular one. That could be
Mm-hmm.
eBay, that could be creating your own store.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the expansion, we're always ready to consult those people on how to do it. If I can give value to the listeners out there
Yeah.
right now, is to not hurry up with this expansion.
Mm.
Maybe do some solid profits and know that your product is selling, and check out the most
Yes.
optimal sales channels to do so. Then, if you want to experiment with other countries, you can totally do so. With other marketplaces, you're definitely okay to do so, but make sure you're profitable before taking that step. Because, as you said, in each country there's going to be country specifics, and you need to be prepared. And
Yeah.
um, we're people that we don't want to correct the mistakes. Oh, we would like to be better prepared. So if anyone is interested, we can definitely consult you on next steps and how to go about it.
Yes, yes. I think that's super important because and that's what I like about you guys. It's not about only the platform, you actually also provide advice, and it is super valuable because again, there are so many e-commerce entrepreneurs that they're getting started and they are uncertain about which is the right platform or country. And the fact that you guys provide that advice, and on top of that you give the tool to make it happen, it's amazing. And now, another tool I found very interesting, and I think this goes back to some of the tips, is when it comes to listing management. And this for me is super important because another mistake I see, and I think people should be aware of this, that when you launch in multiple marketplaces, it's very easy to break terms of conditions sometimes, so even keep track of inventory. And what I mean by this, like maybe the listing of the keyword you're using on Amazon maybe is not approved to be used on eBay or on Etsy, etc. And having a tool such as this that give you the update of the listing, and not only that, allows you to see inventory levels, I think it is key. Because maybe you agree with me as well that when it comes to multi-channel, the inventory side of things is also a nightmare, because maybe you have 100 units in Amazon, 200 units in Etsy, 300 units there. So maybe give us some advice around this. Like, I know of course that the tools allows you to understand your inventory level at the listing level and the status of the listing, but what are some advice you can give to e-commerce entrepreneurs to stay on top of this? Because I feel like the bigger you grow, the more difficult it is, and maybe have
Mhm.
some insights about how to tackle this. Yeah.
Okay. I can give a general advice, and then I can
Sure.
go a little bit into detail for your
Mm-hmm.
listeners with concrete examples so that they can gain value from this. So
Yeah.
the bigger advice I can give is definitely have some system in place. Noverstock
Yeah.
is really good at showing you the inventory levels, for example, and you can control the listings from the system as well. So you can play with the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
But the automation is what helps you see. So we can reserve stock for a specific location. We can change the levels depending on the orders.
Mm.
There really is a system in place for you. So, for example, if your stock levels fall below a certain point, then we alarm you that you need to get more stock. And here's a
Okay.
specific example. In the case of eBay, for example, you know that the listing health is conditioned on the fact that you have stock
Mm.
in place.
That's right.
If your stock goes down, it's good because you're selling, but then your
Yeah.
listing falls down in health. So what we do is we have an automatic rule. For example, let's say that your stock falls below X number of units,
Mm-hmm.
it automatically increases the price so that the health of your listing stays
I
high.
see. Mm-hmm.
And then when the new inventory comes into the warehouse,
Yeah.
automatically the price readjusts. So we do two things here. Nobody's buying when the
Mm-hmm.
price is really really high, but the health of your listing stays high. If somebody buys, of course, they buy at such a high price that you're making huge
Yeah.
amounts of profit, and it's a win-win situation in both sides. And then maybe another concrete example is the back orders, for example.
Okay.
If you don't have enough stock, let's pretend we're talking about
Yeah.
Amazon, and you don't have enough stock, then we can reserve the stock that's coming in. We can reserve a few, a number of stock that would
Unit.
be
Mm.
for that for those back orders, basically.
I
And
see.
again, the idea is to eliminate the human error possibility because you never
Mm-hmm.
forget an order. Yes, there might be a slight delay, um, but at least you will have something sent to the customer. There will be a transaction. There will be some business happening.
Yes, for sure. Awesome. And now to start concluding, I think a question you might get a lot is like, this sounds amazing and everything, but maybe sometimes people get scared that this is very technical to integrate with your accounts, and it takes a lot of time. And from my experience, and maybe you can also point this to the other, it's very straightforward, right? The integration is
Yeah.
is very fast, right?
Well, to be honest with you, in the past, it what the people were saying is true. In the past, if you wanted to add a warehouse, you needed to have a developer. You
Mm-hmm.
needed to for them to be pulling APIs. You needed for them to
Yeah.
test everything. None of that is true anymore. Nowadays, it's just a button. You just click add a warehouse or add a
Mm.
new marketplace, add a new account, and with just a click of a button, you don't need any technical skills, and you can be
Awesome.
onboarded and or add another channel to your existing ones. So what we do on our side, we know that, for example, the first time onboarding is a
Mm-hmm.
process. So we have customer success managers that basically stay with you until we make sure that everything is working
Nice.
perfectly and
Mm-hmm.
everything is running smoothly. And from then on, you're going to be the one to take care of the account. We have a ticketing system, and
Good.
if you have a problem, in less than 24 hours, we solve it for you because we have also in house developers, designers, and everyone really that can help. It's 24/7 support. So we've made it easy, and if there is a bug, we can definitely react very, very quickly.
Love it, love it. And now this final question, because most of our audience, the Amazon sellers, and that might be very keen to now give it a try to the tool is, right now when it comes to Amazon, will you say you can integrate any Amazon country, or if not, which are the countries right now our audience can get started with Novastock? Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have any limitations. Anyone
Okay.
from any country can feel free to reach out to us. And what we will do for your audience,
Mm-hmm.
we would even give them 1 month free trial
No,
so
well,
that
thank
they
you.
can test it out. So there can be, let's say, uh, onboarding. Let's say that it's a week. It usually takes about a week for you to get
Mm-hmm.
onboarded if you're using Amazon. Then you can be testing out the product without paying for a month. And we
Nice.
would also give them 10%
Oh,
on 10% discount
good.
on all the subsequent months so that they can really see how they grow with the system. And the added bonus, of course, is the profitability calculator,
Yes.
which it's a separate tool, but
Mm-hmm.
we give it as a package. We will
Wow.
not charge you separately for that. So you really are getting everything
A
with
lot.
24/7 support from our side. Yeah.
Thank you.
And
I
we're
appreciate
not
it.
limited to any country, and anyone can feel free to try it themselves.
Awesome. Love it. Love it. So thank you very much for that promotion, Georgie, and for everybody listening and watching. Make sure you check the description. I'm gonna make sure to put the link there. And to conclude, Jordi, can you give us maybe your information in terms of your email or where people can find you if they want to ask a more personalized question to you in terms of Noverstock? Yeah.
Mhm. Yes, absolutely. So the easiest place to find me directly is probably LinkedIn. You just type in my name, Georgi Damyanov. Just
Mm-hmm.
type it in as you see it on the screen, and you will find me on LinkedIn. Then the company name is Noverstock.
Mm-hmm.
There's an easy email address, sales@noverstock.com. I
Okay.
also check that email address. But even if you go to noverstock.com, the web page, there's a simple form that you can
Nice.
fill in. And again, I will check the responses. Soon, we probably will have more social media present, but for now, LinkedIn has been working very, very, very well for us. And
Yeah.
anybody can reach out to me and I will respond.
Yeah, thank you very much, Georgie. It's been a pleasure, and thank you very much for all your knowledge and advice around how to have a multi-channel e-commerce business. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have you again in the future as no stocks start growing in the space. For me, it's been a pleasure, and thank you very much for your time. Yeah, I appreciate you being here.
Thank you for the invitation, Vincenzo. I'm looking forward to the next event that we visit
Yeah,
together and
for
our
sure.
next podcast. Yeah,
Yeah, let's do it. Thank you very much. Bye bye.
thank you.